It's another special edition of Litter Media Live. I'm Dan Ramey, and in studio with me today is Scott Richards Jr. We want to make sure we throw Jr. out there. My son, Dan Jr., always wants to make sure we got that on there. But appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Scott, you might remember from the Chillicothe Gazette days when he was a sports writer for the Gazette, but you've been in the construction business here of late, but you've been constructing something completely different, which is why we're talking with you today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talking about a book. We'll show you the book in just a moment, but first, these words from our friends at Hometown Motors Incorporated.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance, on and off the track. That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
Here is the book, One by One, Panda Fun. And this is obviously a children's book.
It is, correct.
Yeah. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks.
Where did the inspiration for writing a children's book come for you? Now, I'm going to guess because you're a dad.
Correct, yeah. The funny thing is I actually tried to write a kid's book back in, I think it was 2011. And I had submitted it to a publisher. And, you know, they said, oh, it'll probably take 3 to 4 weeks for you to hear it back from us. And I got a response in about 24 hours. So they said, yeah. Yeah. So I don't even think they read it all the way through. But so I obviously had a lot of work to do. But it's always something that's been in the back of my head that I've always kind of tried to craft. And the inspiration behind this actually was my wife and I have a son who's going to be 16 months old now. But last year when, you know, we were just getting into the infancy in a couple months, I would be up at night rocking him and I would do different things to put him to sleep, and I'm not really much of a singer, so I would talk to him in little rhymes. And funny, this actually started not with pandas, but with some different animals. And it started with the old rhyme like, you know, 2 by 2, buckle my shoe, or 8 monkeys come through the gate. Another one comes in, now there's 8. That's kind of how this started, right? And it was just over and over and over. And the more I did it, the more I thought, man, this kind of sounds like a book that could teach kids how to count.
Yeah.
And that was the inspiration behind it, how it all started, just those 3 a.m. conversations trying to get my son to bed.
Now, at 18 months old, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of good critique.
Yeah.
But I imagine this has been in the hands of some toddlers.
It has.
And some parents who have also had a good view of it.
Yeah, I've actually had a lot of really good feedback. I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends who took it and read it to their kids. And it's a good progression. It's a fun rhyme as it builds through, and it teaches kids to count up to 10. And then once they get to 10, it actually teaches them to count back down to 1. But in the whole time, it's telling a story of a fun day of adventures for the pandas.
Some of this is memorization, but more of it is actually learning to read as well.
Correct.
And I've learned this through watching my granddaughter here of late. And so jumping through and showing what these 3 pandas over here are doing, and then you add 2 more into it, it's a fun story, but at the same time, they're actually learning while they do it.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to keep the rhyming structure instead of just a story, because the rhyming is like you said, memorization, and it helps them as they go through, you know, 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 all the way to 10 and then back down.
Yeah. Maybe for your next book, you can have like up to 20. So
yeah. So, and that is funny because this is part of a series that I want to do, and each book will still be a counting book, but it will introduce different things. So kind of spoiler alert, the second one, this one's 1 by 1 Panda Fun. The second book in this series is 2 by 2 Pandas at the Zoo. Right. So it's a counting book, but it also introduces you each time to different zoo animals and things that happen at the zoo. So it's teaching different aspects of life while also the memorization of counting.
Yeah, that's very cool. Little minds are incredible. As you're watching your son develop, it's something to see the discovery that they're making. And when they started connecting things, I recall sitting with my granddaughter and we were, of all things, reading Sports Illustrated. and I would go through, and as I went through, she would recognize something and she would go, ball, you know, or then I would describe the ball as a basketball, and then she would say basketball.
Yeah.
So those little tiny things that you work with the kids, they start gathering information. They're just sponges at that time.
Yep. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're getting from this. And like you said, he's not really, the first time I read this to my son, we made it about 6 pages in, and he was literally shoving it away, you know, because it wasn't registering yet. But the more I read it to him, the more he's recognizing the Panda characters, the more he's recognizing some of the words that are coming out. And that's why it was so important to keep it as a rhyme, because I didn't want it to just be another book that was to teach kids to count. Yeah. They're going to learn without really realizing they're learning.
Now let's take a moment to look at the illustrations. Who was your illustrator for the book?
Nicole Rosanda was her name. I actually found her through a network called Upwork online, and there's a lot of really good creators that you can get on there, and you basically post an ad and they'll reach out to you and show you their work. And so she's out of California, which, you know, God bless the internet, or we would never.
Amen to that.
Yeah, would have never found her. But she did an awesome job. And what's really funny is this was there was less prose in this book. It was more of a rhyming book, kind of like Dr. Seussy, if I would say that. And then the first time she gave me the illustration, I thought, man, I don't want to make her change this illustration, because she's done a really good job of capturing the characters that I wanted. So now I want to match the story to who the characters are. So if we can kind of flip through some of these illustrations, you can see this is a good photo of all the Panda characters as they're starting to end their day. So this would be about the midway point as they've counted up, and then they start to work their way back down as they go through.
Hold it just a little higher there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, very nice. And you've got pandas of all sizes.
Yes, absolutely. And all different kinds of, you know, we've got a reading panda and a very sophisticated panda, and then the panda that likes to carry her purse all around. But we can kind of go through, if you want me to read maybe a page or two of it.
Yeah, sure.
So you can. So we start out the book with Milo, who is our main panda. So he starts his day.
Before you start, this is One by One Panda Fun, as voiced by Scott Richards Jr.
Thank you. So we start one by one, the pandas play. Milo's ready to start the day. An eager panda ties his shoes. Lulu stops by. Now there are 2. 2 sets of paws bounce across the grass, tapping rhythm as they pass. Milo and Lulu through the trees. They catch up with Buddy. Now there are 3. 3 bamboo shoots, tall and thin, 3 loud crunches, big old grins. They ate bamboo till they could eat no more, then met up with Daisy. Now there are 4. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see the rhythm of the book. Yep, and then they get to 5, all the way to 10, and then once they get to 10, it's pandas playing, days near end, time to settle, little friend. Pandas look at setting sun, 10 by 10, their day is done. But wait, there's more, just one more run, counting back, more panda fun. Mm-hmm. And then they go down, and it's the same... sort of the same things that they've done. They're just wrapping it up. Right. And I don't want to tell the whole story and give it away, but as they've done each adventure throughout the day, they start packing up, cleaning up their day, all the way to Milo going to bed and finishing his day.
That's very cool. To see something that was first in your head and now comes to fruition. What's that like?
You know, being at the newspaper and in sales and construction, I've been in a lot of rooms with a lot of people. But to be able to sit in this room today and talk about something that started with a simple little rhyme, that was as simple as, 3 little pandas in the trees, another one shows up, now there's 3. That was the first draft, right? It's really something special to be in a place where you kind of always wanted to be and thought you could be, but now you are. And it's just a matter of doing was it, it was 14 years ago. I wanted to try this and I tried it again, and I'm actually struggling to put it into words of what it's like to see a finished copy and go, man, that actually happened.
That's something I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Of course, you've got an extensive educational background. Did any of that lead to writing specifically for children?
I wouldn't say so, no. I mean, it helped. The MBA helped in the sense that it helped me find a good illustrator and write up a contract that, helped us work together. But I think the kid part was the fact that I working in sales is a high stress industry, and obviously working in business is high stress as well. And the best part of the day is to go home and play with wooden, tomatoes and cups in the kitchen with my son, or playing with cars and just throwing them across the floor. So I think there's a simplicity in this. So I don't know that it necessarily made it happen, but it's the escape from all of the noise of being an adult that makes this so much fun.
Yeah. And there's something about it. It also takes you back to being a kid.
Yeah.
Gives you a chance to kind of live vicariously through the younger person there. I know that, as you mentioned to us before we went on the air, you've got another couple of books in the works right now.
Yeah. Yep.
But we need to sell this book first to make those other possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this is available now on Amazon. I will have physical copies here. There is I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look, but there is a shop in Circleville, a consignment shop that's going to carry some copies. I have physical copies on me. You can find me on Facebook. Scott Richards Author is my page. You can message me there and get a physical copy from me, or there's the link on Amazon, and they'll get it to you by tomorrow probably.
Yeah, and that information, by the way, is in the post that we're seeing here on Facebook and also in the description on YouTube. So people will be able to go right to the link, and next thing you know, pull out that debit card and start buying books.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So do you feel accomplished now?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like there's an accomplishment, but it's an excitement that it's just starting. Right. And you'll know it being in this creative space that once it starts, the floodgates kind of open, and that's how the second and the third one started. And I've actually revisited the original kids book that I tried to write many, many, many years ago. And maybe at some point I may throw that in the fire and see if we can get that going again.
There are never any new ideas, as they say, but
Correct.
Why not revitalize them in some fashion?
Yep.
And who knows, maybe all those years ago, that inspiration that you had might be the big seller.
Never know.
It may help you buy, I don't know, 4 or 5 more kids. Start buying readers.
Yeah, there you go.
In that respect. Yeah. But we wish you well with this. It is one by one, and let me bring the camera back up here. There we go. One by one, Panda Fun. That is the cover of the book, and the author is Scott Richards. Thank you so much for coming in today.
I really appreciate you having me. This has been a lot of fun.
We've not seen Scott for several years, and when we met out in the parking lot, I said, "How long's it been?" And it wasn't quite as long as I thought it had been. So, but
it certainly feels that way sometimes.
It does. They go by fast.
They really do. Yep.
Scott Richards. Again, the information for the book is all available in this post. So go click on those links right now. Make Scott a happy man. Amazon will do what they can as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for coming in.
Thanks, Dan.
And thank you for watching, and our thanks to Hometown Motors Incorporated, today's sponsor for this edition of Litter Media Live.